My sister stole my dead daughter's belongings and told her church I abandoned them. My response left her sobbing in the parking lot. I lost my daughter Emma 3 years ago. She was 16. There isn't a clean way to explain what that does to a family. Some people pull together. Some people drift apart. My sister, Melissa, did something else entirely. At first, she seemed supportive. She came to the funeral. She brought food. She sat with me during those awful first weeks when every room in my house felt wrong. Emma's bedroom stayed exactly the way she left it. The posters on the wall. The stack of novels beside her bed. The collection of bracelets she made with her friends. I couldn't bring myself to touch any of it. About 6 months after Emma died, I had to travel for work for several weeks. I asked Melissa to check on my house occasionally. She agreed immediately. When I came home, something felt off. It started small. A framed photo was missing from Emma's dresser. Then I noticed one of her handmade blankets was gone. A jewelry box disappeared. I convinced myself I was imagining things. Grief messes with your memory. Then one afternoon I opened her closet. Several dresses were missing. So were boxes containing years of keepsakes. I called Melissa. Did you take anything from Emma's room? There was a long pause. Then she said, I was trying to help. My stomach dropped. What did you take? Some things. Some things? You weren't moving on, Sarah. I remember gripping the phone so hard my hand hurt. Where are her belongings? Melissa sighed like I was being difficult. I donated some. I couldn't even speak. Donated? People needed them. I hung up. For weeks I tried tracking things down. Most of it was gone. Clothes, books, artwork, birthday cards, things that had absolutely no value to anyone except me. Melissa never apologized. Instead, she acted like she'd done me a favor. After that, I cut contact. For nearly 2 years, we barely spoke. Then something strange started happening. People I didn't know would approach me. At the grocery store, at community events, even at a gas station once. They'd look uncomfortable and say things like, I'm glad you're doing better now. Or, it must have been hard walking away from your daughter. The comments made no sense. My daughter was dead. How could I have walked away from her? Eventually, I got an answer. A woman named Diane stopped me outside a coffee shop. She introduced herself and asked quietly, are you Emma's mother? When I said yes, she looked confused. Melissa told everyone at church that you abandoned Emma before she passed away. I just stared at her. Diane kept talking. Apparently, Melissa had spent years telling people that I was an absent mother who disappeared when things got difficult. According to her version of events, Melissa stepped in and became Emma's real caregiver. The lies got worse from there. She told people she inherited Emma's belongings because I wanted nothing to do with them. Suddenly, everything made sense. The missing items, the strange comments, the sympathetic looks from strangers. Melissa hadn't just stolen from me. She'd rewritten my daughter's life, and she'd made herself the hero. I didn't confront her immediately. I wanted proof. Over the next month, Diane helped me connect with several church members. People showed me messages, photos, fundraiser posts, even church newsletters mentioning Melissa's sacrifice in caring for Emma. None of it was true. I collected everything, every screenshot, every statement, every date. Then I hired an attorney. My lawyer sent formal demand letters regarding the property Melissa had taken. We also prepared documentation showing her claims were false. A few weeks later, Melissa's church announced a large community fundraiser in her honor. She was being recognized for her years of selfless devotion. I attended. I sat quietly in the back. Melissa didn't notice me. Near the end of the event, church leaders invited her forward. She started speaking. She talked about Emma, about sacrifice, about stepping up when others wouldn't. Then one of the church elders approached the microphone. I later learned my attorney had already contacted the church board and provided everything. The elder looked uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. He thanked Melissa. Then he announced there were concerns regarding several public claims that required clarification. The room went completely silent. He explained that new information had been provided. That records contradicted the narrative everyone had been told. That Emma had lived with me until her death. That I had been her primary caregiver. That belongings removed from my home had never been legally transferred. You could hear people whispering. Melissa stood frozen. Someone in the audience asked a question. Then another. Then another. The sympathy she'd spent years collecting vanished in minutes. I didn't say a word. I simply stood up and walked toward the exit. As I reached the parking lot, I heard footsteps behind me. Melissa. She was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Sarah, please. I kept walking. She followed me between rows of cars. I never meant for it to go this far. I stopped. For the first time in years, I looked directly at her. Then I handed her a copy of the property claim my attorney had filed. A list of every item we could identify. Every photograph. Every keepsake. Every piece of Emma she had taken. Melissa stared at the pages. Her hands shook. I got into my car. She stood there reading, still crying, still calling my name. I closed the door, started the engine, and left her alone in that parking lot with the truth she had spent years trying to bury.